Hello, everyone. It's Jerry at the Fledge, and welcome to another episode of Every Damn Day. And today I'm sitting in the Fledge. It's getting a lot warmer in here, so we're going to have to try to figure out how to get cooling it pretty soon. And I've got my blockchain shirt on that David Smith gave me. Shout out to him. He's down in Miami right now at the big blockchain and crypto conference that's happening down there. He's a Bitcoin big shot, so he gets to do these things. And I also want to give a shout out to the village of Lansing that's down at the Capitol right now, giving out a citywide open house for all the seniors who are graduating that maybe COVID or whatever has disrupted their open house. So a big open house going down at the Capitol right now, and get down there. There's food, there's prizes being given out. There's a youth march or something that's happening at 7 p.m. So the Fledge is down there making art with people. So come down to the Capitol and check out what the village is doing. Today on my show, we've got somebody that I don't know that well. I'm just now getting ready to know him. So it's a new friend, but I'll tell you, the last 15 minutes of prepping, I am super excited to talk to you, Bryan. How you doing?
Doing good, sir. How are you?
I am doing great. We got to start right with Milwaukee, which I wasn't sure it was Milwaukee at first. I thought it was the Pirates because I don't know MLB anymore.
Yeah.
What's going on? Is it you love them, or
I'm from Wisconsin. I was born in Madison. I know that's jumping into the first part of the but it's baseball season. And my Brewers need some good mojo sent their way, so I thought I'd rep my brew crew on the Every Damn Day podcast.
I love it because, one, I used to spend a lot of time in Milwaukee for my career. One of my biggest customers was there, and I just love that city. I think it's a great city.
Absolutely.
Almost feels like a Michigan city because it's on our lake and all that.
Yep.
I'm just kidding about our lake.
I mean, kind of.
And then I'm trying to think. When I was a kid, I used to go to a lot of Tigers games, and I've been to some Brewers Tigers games, and I don't know, it seems like something significant. What do we have? Hank Aaron, right?
Hank Aaron was Milwaukee. He was actually, I don't want to get into specifics without remembering. I know that he played for Milwaukee. Went back when they were the Milwaukee Braves. Way back when, and then the Braves moved to Atlanta, and then Milwaukee got the Brewers, who used to be a team in Washington or Oregon. I think.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, anybody, if I got it wrong. I'm trying to do that off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're gonna come at us on Reddit.
They're gonna come. Yeah, you dumb son of a. Sorry.
You can swear on the show if you want, but
okay, good.
Yeah. So let's talk about you a little bit. You said you jumped ahead, so you were born in Madison.
Born in Madison, Wisconsin, right on campus at the University of Wisconsin.
Yeah, is that where you were raised too?
I was raised in a city called Janesville, which is. I know people are going to get a little pissed because I'm doing look like a weird looking Michigan, but like if you just pretend this is Wisconsin and this is the line from Indiana or Illinois, it's like less than 10 miles over the border into Wisconsin from Illinois. So southern Wisconsin.
Janesville.
Yes. Okay. Yep. Janesville and Beloit are the two towns that I was raised in. Then my parents separated. My mom moved to Michigan, and my dad stayed there because he worked at the General Motors plant in Janesville. And then when that plant closed down, he moved to Flint and then came to Lansing, and here I am.
So I've been to the Janesville plant a few times. I was in automotive for a while, and I was trying to think, is that what you're talking about? I couldn't remember it, but now I remember. It seems, did they make the Camaro there at some point, or the Aurora? Or something, I don't know.
That I do not know. I'm the only generation right now in my family that was never able to work at that plant. I'm fourth generation UAW. My great grandpa was actually at the plant when the Routher brothers were going around setting up the UAW. But I think they made SUVs and trucks. I think near the end, I know that was what they made for sure.
Yeah, this was like 30 years ago for me, so I can't remember for sure. So, hey, let's talk about the UAW a little bit. You're in the UAW too?
Local 602.
Yeah. What do you do that, where do you work, or what do you do if you don't want to say where you work?
No, I work at the Lansing Delta Township GM plant, building Chevy Traverses and Buick Enclaves.
All right, sweet.
Yep, crossovers.
So I get to tag the UAW now finally in my show, because I bet you there's a lot of people that have worked there or that are members of the UAW, but I haven't talked to them about it yet.
Yeah, yep.
So,
I can. I mean, if you want, I can put you in touch with my chairman. I'm sure he'd love to be on your podcast.
That would be awesome, because I'd love to talk about the importance of unions and workers' rights and all of this stuff. So,
Kaz, if you're watching, get a hold of him.
So that's my connect now. All right, yes. Kaz, I'm with you. So you and I, we were talking in the beginning about, what you do and what you're involved in and all of that. Let's jump into that now. You do more than just build cars or trucks.
Many things. My wife would say too many things. That's just because she likes me home, or at least I hope that's why. I play drums. I'm a drummer, and also I do a little bit of bass, although my producer would question my aptitude at that, but I think that I can do okay. I play drums in Two-Face Wilson out of Lansing, Michigan, To Breathe Again out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, which I just joined a couple months ago. And then I have my studio project, Diecast Romance, which is like a kind of whatever I want sort of thing. Whatever I want, I collaborate with whoever I want. And then I also have my own podcast, Drumming in the Trenches, that I do with my good friend Ari Roynilla, from the Band of Saints and Scoundrels, based out of Mishawaka, Indiana.
So I'm trying to put all of these websites and Facebook pages.
I see them popping up.
So I got a couple more to catch up with you. But how do you keep up with all of this? And what do you mean your producer doesn't think you're good at bass?
Well, it's not that I'm not. He just thinks that I should focus more on the drums, because that's what my true passion is. I started playing bass in high school because my mom wouldn't buy me a drum set, and she thought that bass would be the quieter option. And then I rumbled a bunch of pictures off the wall with how loud I was playing, and she learned the hard way. But it's a chore to keep up with everything. Diecast Romance it's a pretty much whenever I want. I mean, there's no real timetable. It's a studio project. I don't ever see it not being a studio project, unless somebody offered me a lot of money to organize it, because I collaborate with so many different people that it would be real hard to get a core group of people in the same room to learn everything. And then, I collaborate with a bunch of different singers, so I'd have to figure, all that stuff out. But so that's not that hard to keep up with. It's just more of an organizational thing.
What's your name mean?
I don't know. I used to work back when Delta had 3 shifts. It was about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and it was almost one of those fever dreams. I was just working on the line, and I was bullshitting with a friend of mine, and I was like, "What about this name or this name?" And I'm like, "Diecast Romance," and they're like, "Let me see if it's available on Facebook," because you obviously copyright and trademark issues and stuff like that. And it was available, and I went with it. So
yeah. I was going to ask if there was a manufacturing tie to that.
No,
in some way, or
no, not really. I mean, I'm not one of those guys that loves doing like the diecast car models or anything like that. It just, I'm sure if you gave me enough time, I could probably figure out some shoehorned in meaning, but it sounded cool. It sounded ambiguous enough to where I could do as many different styles as I could, and it would make sense ish.
Well, when you're rich and famous from it, you can make up whatever history you want when you write your book, right?
Well, and I always go back to I watched a documentary on the Foo Fighters, and Dave Grohl at the very end of the documentary said, if I would have known that I was going to get this big, I would have picked a better name for the band.
Yeah. So, what does well, let's talk about some of your other bands real quick.
Okay.
What genre are you? Or do you have a genre? Do you bounce everywhere?
Diecast Romance is specifically set up to not have a set genre. I have an EP out right now that has 3 songs. One of them is like an Offspring, Sum 41, heavy-ish punk type of song. One of them is a drum duet that I did with my friend Darren Curtis from Elsie Banks. And then there's a piano ballad on it. And the demos that I'm working on right now are a little bit more honed in as far as style, but my influences are all across the board. My dad, he had this 6-foot tall CD case that had everything from the Bee Gees to Limp Bizkit, all up in between. And so I got a lot of different influences, and I mean, I keep trying to convince a buddy of mine to do a Shania Twain cover with me, but it's not going over very well because he's in a very heavy band and he's worried that it would ruin his credibility. Two-Face Wilson is like a blues rock band. I always like to say that it's if every Jack White project had a baby with Led Zeppelin and had Stevie Ray Vaughan as the guitar player. It's that there's a lot of it's that not everything's like that straight like 6/8 jazz type of vibe to it, but the singer and guitar player, his name's Adam Drosha. He writes some really great songs, and it's real fun to play. It's given me a lot of appreciation for the softer side of things because I was going more in the heavier direction before I joined, and I had to kind of reel everything back in and make my drum set a little bit smaller. But now I'm into Breathe Again, which is a heavier Godsmack type heavy I guess it's post grunge is the official term. But now I got to start scaling stuff back up a little bit and get my double bass pedal back out and redoing everything to fit that style of music. So I'm all over the place.
So when we were prepping, you, I can't remember the phrase you said, but that other shit music that people are trying to play right now. I don't know what exactly you said. But
we were what I think I said something along the lines of what people think is good.
Yes, yeah.
What people consider to be good nowadays. Yeah.
You make me sound like I'm really pessimistic with my what I was remembering.
I mean,
what is that other sound? What is that music?
Just I'm not against anybody for liking the style of music. You can like whatever you want, but like I said, my dad got me into like Van Halen, Kiss, Aerosmith, all that good 70s and 80s music that real musicians were playing real instruments and writing their own songs. And pop radio nowadays, everything is just overproduced, and you can be a pop star in 15 minutes with some auto tune.
Yeah,
it takes much less talent to be, you get these people that they pluck from nowhere, and all of a sudden they're playing in at Coachella. They don't know what it's like to play for an empty room of the bartenders and the wait staff and your parents that pitied you to come out and see you. That's the real. You got to know the struggle, man. I'm telling you, it's not fun sometimes.
Well, I'm glad that's what you meant by this, because there were so many times, like we have a rap studio downstairs, and guys just download the YouTube videos and just play whatever track, and there's no instruments, there's nothing, really, it's just regurgitated stuff.
Right.
And I always beg drummers to come here and make some beats with us and
Yeah, and
do some producing.
I do. There late last year I actually went in and did drums for a hip hop song. Guy's name's STF Chef out of Detroit. Rap, I'm not really, I mean, and anything with a good beat, I'll listen to. I mean, my Spotify is all over the place. Rap, I don't have as much of a problem with as I do like the Ariana Grande type of people. But no, rap's fun to play drums to. I would be more than happy to come down and record beats for people. Be more than happy to.
Yeah, I always wonder, if musicians, like when I was a kid, when rap started just coming out, we had the rock and roll guys and the rap and disco. We hated disco too, right? So you mentioned the Bee Gees earlier. They created a whole new sound. Nobody ever looped before.
Yeah.
All kinds of things that they did. So my grandma actually got me into ABBA. That's kind of my my lost credibility band that I enjoy, other than Shania Twain. But I'm a big ABBA fan. They had some of the best harmonies. Yeah.
For their time, and the hits are still good now.
That's so funny, because when I was learning about the Bee Gees doing this, I was also kind of studying what ABBA was doing and trying to keep up with them when they're singing like that in one of their songs is just incredibly hard. Yeah. So how would you kind of summarize what you're trying to do with drumming, with your music? I think we could talk about the UAW and manufacturing in America for a long time too. Because I love what you're doing. I love that you're making stuff, because that's what we do, right? It's what we're supposed to do.
Well, and I always make the joke that I'm fourth generation. I'm not really apt to do a whole lot else other than my skill set's pretty much genetically set to be UAW. I've tried a bunch of other stuff, but my dad kept telling me that you're going to go to college, you're going to get a degree, and you're not going to be working. And then here I am 5.5 years later, still trucking along.
Yeah. Do you like your work at GM?
Sure.
Yeah.
I would rather be doing music and my podcast and stuff like that. But I mean, as far as jobs go, it's not the worst thing. I get to listen to music, and I just get to zone out, do the same thing all day, every day, and just listen to music and talk to people. And
and the union makes sure you're paid right and have some benefits and all that too, right?
Most of the time, nobody's perfect.
Yeah, there's glitches and everything.
Of course.
So, where do you see yourself with your music? What's your mission?
My mission is to, I have 2 beautiful daughters, Gypsy and Ariel, who aren't watching this right now, but that's good because they don't want to hear Daddy say bad words. But my main mission and goal with my music is just to leave a legacy. I mean, the money would be great. The state of the music industry nowadays, it is what it is. But, I want, when I'm dead and gone, I want, my daughters to be like, this is something that my dad did. This was his passion. This is what he loved to do, and hopefully inspired them to, follow their dreams.
I'll tell you that my wife's father was a musician. And when he passed away, the most precious thing that she has right now is his music and those recordings. And I think it's a great legacy to leave behind. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, it's something that can be enjoyed over and over and over again. And anytime they miss me, they can just... I talk like I'm 97 years old. Good Lord. I'm only 28, I promise.
No, I think it's good to be thinking about that. There's psychologists that have studied stages of life where, you end up, you're 70 years old and you're trying to manage your regret and you can't do anything about it anymore.
Yeah.
And so to be thinking about it when you're 28, I think you're pretty lucky.
Don't leave any stone unturned. That's kind of what I'm trying to do.
What's something you do every damn day to kind of push that mission forward?
I love to learn. I love listening to new bands, watching YouTube videos, like even especially with Rush. I'm a huge Rush fan, and Neil Peart will always be that God status, unachievable, type of thing. But I love watching drum cover videos, just kind of trying to pick up different techniques that I could try, different pieces of gear that I could try. It's always keeping an open mind to different things and figuring out what works best for you.
Are there like new technologies and new gear that come out still that is relevant to the sound that you're trying to keep, or do you have to stay pure
Well,
whatever Kiss was using?
As much as I would love one of those old school Pearl sets, well, no, I mean like the rack mount systems and stuff like that makes getting stuff on and off the stage a lot easier. I'm actually testing out this new double bass pedal on my drum set. I just set it up yesterday. It's basically the bass drum is in the middle. Mm-hmm. And then instead of there being the two beaters and then the really long slave pedal over to this side, they're equidistance. So you're centered, and it's more ergonomic, and kind of sets everything up in a way that makes your hips a little better and your legs a little less tired and stuff like that. It's just all about how far you're willing to go outside the norm, because like I was playing it last night and I feel like I'm totally relearning. Like my calves were burning this morning. But you
like the sound?
Yeah, I mean it's still my kit. I mean it's I have everything tuned the same way. It's just a different way to do things, I guess. But yeah, some people get so stuck, and this is something that I try and preach a lot to people is don't just listen to one genre. Don't just watch one drummer. Take stuff from different genres, different influences. I always like to talk about John Five and Zakk Wylde. They're guitar players, heavy metal guitar players. John Five played with Marilyn Manson, and he plays with Rob Zombie now, and Zakk Wylde obviously with Black Label Society and Ozzy Osbourne. They do like chicken picking, like country chicken picking stuff with their solos, and it sets them apart from the rest because they took something that wasn't heavy metal and applied it to their craft where they were in. So, if you're a death metal drummer, maybe listen to some hip hop and try and pick up different beats or different ways to do things. It's less about the gear as much as it is about how you apply it to what you're doing. Because I can sit behind any drum set and it's going to sound like me, because I've been playing drums for at least 15 years now, and I have my way of doing things, and it is what it is. But it's about how you apply the different techniques to the same tool.
Yeah. I like that we talk about diversity in these words that get thrown around that sometimes people don't even know what they mean. And one of the most important things about diversity is diversity of thought. That's actually a hugely important part of it. And, you talk about the different genres and bouncing around, and that really makes somebody smarter, better, more qualified almost to represent the drums. And I like that view on diversity is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely.
So that diversity of thought is super important.
I'm going to start. That sounds a lot better than what I was calling it. I'm going to start calling it diversity of thought. It makes me sound smarter.
What were you calling it?
I don't know. ADD. I don't know.
Yeah.
getting complacent with listening to the same style of music, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I always get worried about getting channeled. because I grew up in the disco age. I grew up as rap was coming out. My first concert was Sugar Hill Gang in East
Nice.
Lansing. So, I have this dichotomy that happens in my brain because I can sing Beth, I hear you calling word for word right now.
Yep. That's one of my favorite Kiss songs.
Yeah. So we daisy chained the shows together, and yesterday on the show we had a guy that's pretty certain he's invented a new music theory, or not music theory, but a way to teach music theory. And
Okay.
his question for you is, how important is it to you that kids get smarter? Do you do something to help kids get smarter?
I mean, yeah, I think it's very important in the sense of music. You told me about this question, and I was sitting there thinking about how I was going to answer it, and then you actually asked me, and my mind's just, and I think part of it, and I'm gonna sound like I'm 70, but like kids these days, you got to teach them how to do things the right way, and thinking that everything comes easy to them, like when I was talking about with you just pick anybody off the street and auto tune their voice. You got to show them where everything came from, because whether certain purists want to believe it or not, every genre was inspired by the genres before them, and show them where it came from, and hopefully make a fan. I've seen Kiss. Keep talking about Kiss. They're my favorite. They're my favorite band. I've seen them 4 times, and I can't even count how many kids under the age of 10 I saw at the shows. I'm like, that's how you do parenting right there. But yeah, I mean, it just better prepares them. I feel like teaching them and making them smarter also in turn gives them a more open mind to the world around you, because I mean, I said I didn't want to talk about politics, but I mean, if you look at all these certain people that take their views a little bit too far, that have children, they're going to have a hard hit of reality when they're older, and they're not going to realize that they're going to realize that the world doesn't work like that all the time. So giving them that open mind and the knowledge of as many things as they can at such a young age broadens their horizons as far as who they'll be able to hang out with, who they're going to associate with, a positive or negative.
I never asked you your political view before we started the show. We didn't talk about that, and we don't know each other well enough yet. But right. I'll tell you what, you answered from both sides. You got us in the middle. Very good job. Very, very good job.
My goal in life is to piss off as few people as possible. So I gotta,
Yeah, well, there's a lot of room in the middle that we need to start getting towards. Mm-hmm. And we, no matter what side you're on, I think that if you can reach a hand out anytime and do that, spectacular. So,
absolutely. I have friends that are on both sides of every spectrum, and I know what to say and how to say it, and hope for the best.
Yeah. Tomorrow on the show, I have Rex and Mark, and they're coming on. I don't know them much at all. And what random question would you like me to pass to Rex and Mark?
There's first of all, shout out to Super Cool Radio, Matthew Thomas. He's the one that asked me this question a couple months ago and I really like it. What is one music album that you consider to be perfect front to back? Like what's perfect album?
And I'm going to enjoy asking that question. I wonder what their answer is going to be, because I don't know them. But what's your answer going to be?
Operation Mindcrime by Queensryche.
Yeah.
That is the concept album of concept albums. Tommy ain't got nothing on these guys. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just everything fits well. It's when the band was in their prime. My dad went and saw them when they did their live video. It was in Madison and Milwaukee 2 nights back to back, and that was one of the albums that he played pretty heavily outside of the Kiss records that I really enjoyed. And yeah. There you go.
So do you ask a lot of people that question?
I love anybody that's willing to talk music. I talk about. I mean, that is one question that I do enjoy asking, and a lot of people are caught very off guard by it, and a lot of people don't give me answers because they don't know, and that's another that goes back to that teaching thing. Is, you know, you gotta people need to remember that back then you didn't just release single. You actually bought the album and you listened to the whole album front to back, top to bottom, and it told a story instead of just keeping your attention for 3 minutes.
That's what I was going to say, in order too.
In
right?
order, yes. There was no shuffle.
Yeah. And you know, it's intimidating because I have an album in mind, and I'm intimidated because I feel like you know a lot more about music, you know a lot more about the technical part of it. And when my relationship with music is, man, try to make me feel different or better, or, you know, make me sad or whatever.
You got to take something away from it.
So do you want to hear what my answer would be?
I do.
No, I'm actually very shy to tell it to you, and I'm not shy about anything. But I'm going to have to go with Prince's Purple Rain.
Oh, absolutely.
But hell just because of how it made me feel. I don't know if I mean, Prince is technical. He's super good. I know that much, but just the whole, it changed my life. It changed the way I feel. I can listen to it right now and it will make me feel better almost every single time.
That I saw Prince down at the Louisville Palace down in Louisville, Kentucky. And oh, God, I still talk about that as one of my favorite concerts that I've ever been to. But that album, when I hear that, "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today," I immediately know, I'm like, fuck yeah, it's going down.
I think you just broke the internet, man. You did that so good.
Well, you know, it's I mean,
all right. I don't feel so bad now.
No, dude, that's a classic. Answer. I will say though, wasn't a big fan of the actual movie. I'll take it or leave it. Kind of like the Flash Gordon soundtrack, Queen, League of Their Own movie, not so much.
What about like Eminem? Because both of them were young and then write this movie about themselves and
8 Mile,
and then 8 Mile, yeah.
You know what? Believe it or not, and I'm going to get a lot of hate from people for. I've lived in Michigan for half my life, and I have yet to see 8 Mile. I've never seen it.
I cheer for people that say stuff like this, though, because I've never seen E.T., and I refuse to. I want to be the last person in my generation living that's never seen E.T.
One of my friends, going back to sports, there's apparently this game that non-sport following people do at the Super Bowl. They try and go as long as they can without knowing who won the Super Bowl. And it's like knowing I can't remember what it's called, but like just I lost, you just lose the game. Like the game is knowing who won and who lost, and they try and go as long as they can. Not that they know, because they don't really follow sports, but just not knowing at all, just seeing how long they can go, because the Super Bowl is, everywhere for that whole week and the weeks afterwards.
Yeah.
It's just a fun little thing to do.
So let's talk about some words here. Happiness, sadness, joy, or hope. Which one of those words would you like to talk about?
With the state of the world right now, I think everybody needs a little hope, and I do.
And you grabbed onto that word really quick when we talked about that earlier. Why'd you grab onto? Is that why you grabbed onto it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, and with with the way everything is right now with COVID, which finally is starting to, not be as bad anymore, at least with the case basis, and people losing loved ones, and politics, whatever side of the spectrum you're on, it was a really rough January. I just think people need to know that, like, everything's going to be okay. I mean, I've had a lot of struggles with mental health. And I know that May was Mental Health Awareness Month, and a lot of people don't really feel safe to talk about it, but they need to know that there's places that you can go and things that you can do to try and mitigate feeling the way that you do, and know that there's better days ahead.
I was sitting out on the porch in front of the Fledge before the interview here, and I was just looking around and thinking, we're all going to be okay.
Yeah.
Going to be okay. And I just love what you just said.
Yeah.
Let's, you know what I never ask you? Where are you right now? Where do you live?
I'm in my dining room that we never eat in.
But what city are you in?
Oh, Eaton Rapids.
Okay.
Greyhounds. Eaton Rapids Greyhounds, yep.
Did you do you have a connection there with?
It was 10 minutes down the road from where I used to live, and we found a house within our budget. Nope, I think I passed through here once on accident like 3 years ago, and I forgot about it, and then I came back through here. I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of remember this, but yeah.
My grandkids live in Eaton Rapids, and I knew you did.
And it's a nice town.
Yeah.
The McDonald's closes, which is weird.
Oh yeah, coming from like Milwaukee, Chicago area.
Well, even in Charlotte, which is where my dad lives and where I grew up in Charlotte, Michigan. I mean, and I get it. It's like a big highway hub. So,
yeah.
Obviously places tend to stay open when they know they can make money, but it's just weird. I have lived in relatively big cities my whole life, or at least ones that are right off the highway. And my wife and I were really hungry one night. It's like, let's go get McDonald's. And it's like, oh shit, they're closed. That's weird. We need to make a note of this.
What gives you hope?
My daughters. They are the best things that could have ever happened to me at the time that it happened. Not to get into too much detail, because it was a rough time, but like I went through a very bad custody case with when I was getting a divorce from their mom, and just and I ended up with full custody, and it helped me leaps and bounds, because there were a couple of times where I was like, fuck it, if I'm not going to get my kids, or if there's a chance I'm not going to get my kids, then what's the point? Because as soon as they were born, it gave me a purpose, and watching them grow, and my wife now, she's absolutely phenomenal with them. She keeps my shit in order, keeps me in order, but yeah, she's great with them, and they love her, and I love watching them interact, and seeing them grow up before my eyes is a little bittersweet, because that means that I'm growing up a little bit too. But yeah, that gives me hope that I can mold these two little balls of clay. I can mold them into hopefully a little bit better version of myself. Learn from my mistakes, and at least know tell them how to get away with stuff a little bit better than I did.
Is that what we're all trying to do, is get away with a little bit something more?
Well, I know they're going to try. They're not going to do very well. Between me and my wife, we've done about everything that you could do, and they're going to try all they want, but it ain't going to happen. I promise you that.
Yeah, I had two daughters too. It's I see where the hope comes from.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love the answer. So we forget to talk about anything any website or something we should promote?
My podcast. I don't think we really touched on that a whole lot.
Yeah, what do you want to say about that?
Yeah, it's called Drumming in the Trenches. I do know that I mentioned it, but we never really went into a whole lot of detail about it. We interview drummers from mostly local and regional scenes. There it is down there. From mostly local and regional scenes, and the lead singer, the guitar player, they get to have all the fun and get all the chicks in the interviews and stuff like that. We want to interview the guys that are, or girls. We had a female guest actually this month, that are kind of stuck in the background, and get their perspective on things. And my co-host Ari Roynilla from Saints and Scoundrels in Mishawaka, there's my plug for him. He's a big gear nerd, so he loves hearing about who's using what and where and why. And he's a little more classically trained than me. I never took lessons when I learned how to play drums. I learned by ear and by watching. So it's kind of fun getting, different perspectives of the same question when we get in the same room together. But yeah, we have a guest every month, once a month. That's about all our schedule's really about all we can afford time wise. But we're looking to get into some gear reviews. Like once I get this new drum pedal figured out, we might do something about that. And we love talking about it and giving people spotlights. And then on the plus side, with it being COVID and shows were being reduced quite a bit, we were able to kind of give an outlet, kind of like what you're doing, giving people an outlet to, share their craft and their, get their music out there. And it's growing fairly well. We're very impressed with the type of traction that we were able to get in such a short amount of time, because our first episode was last December, and we're already, I think we're over 750 on Facebook.
Nice.
So yeah.
So I shared that on the Facebook page, or shared the Facebook page in the comments with everything, and we'll be promoting that a little bit more throughout the week too.
Awesome.
I think about, I got this electric drum set right here in front of me on our stage. It's sitting in front of me right now. And I've got a regular, I don't know, Yamaha, just a cheap kit that somebody gave to us so people can come and bang around. You want to come play some beats if I can get a rapper over here? And
absolutely.
You guys collab a little bit?
Absolutely. I'll bring my stuff. I'll bring whatever you don't have. We'll have a time, man. Absolutely. I'm totally down.
Yeah, I'd love to have you come over and see what we're doing and talk to you a little bit more about some of the things we didn't talk about today. Because I think, I'll just
love to do a show there sometime too.
Oh yeah, come do that.
Hell
Definitely come do that. I need your help. Actually, we'll talk about that after this in a minute.
All right.
So thank you so very much for coming in and doing the show, spending your Sunday afternoon. Maybe your daughters are napping. I don't know how old they are, but
they're out with their grandma right now. Actually, out to lunch. So they're not missing anything.
Well, you're missing alone time though. So thank you very much.
That is true. My wife, I think, she's actually watching the podcast in the room straight that way. So she's. Yeah. She likes having me home.
Well, let's get you two together in this real quick. So thank you so much for coming and being on the show. I think it's super interesting. I think that, we come to talk about drumming, but you're a great person and I really enjoyed getting to know you. And we'll be back here tomorrow every damn day. We're here at 2 p.m. And what would you like to take us out with, Bryan?
Drive fast and take chances.
Is that from Talladega Nights?
No, one of my buddies always says it as I'm leaving his restaurant, Lindy in Eaton Rapids. He always drive fast, take risks. So drive fast, take risks, everybody. There is hope. There is hope.
I love it.
Find your hope.
Thank you so much, Bryan. All right, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.